It's my pleasure today to introduce our two presenters from NARIC. We have Jessica Chaikin, who is NARIC's Media and Information Services Manager. Since 1996, she's led content development, outreach, and networking efforts at connecting the disability and rehabilitation community to research and development supporting full participation in the community. She initiated NARIC's virtual reference services, including partnership with the Maryland Ask Us Now collaborative, and launched NARIC's social media presence, which is now out and reaches more than 7,000 followers. She regularly advises NIDLR grantees on their knowledge translation activities and presents to researchers, providers, and information professionals on the work of the NIDLR grantee community. She studied American Sign Language linguistics at Gallaudet University and library science at Drexel University School of Information Sciences. So welcome, Jess. We also have with us Mark Odom. Mark has over 46 years of experience in special library and records management. Mark has been a cornerstone of NARIC since 1978, serving as the project director for 36 years. He's expertly managed a team of professionals, directing library and information services, knowledge translation initiatives, and technology integration. Mark has led significant projects, including usability studies and the migration to Drupal 10, enhancing NARIC's online presence. His advisory roles span numerous federally funded rehabilitation research projects and national disability organizations. Having sustained a spinal cord injury nearly 5 decades ago, he's been a beacon of guidance for individuals facing similar challenges. He's held leadership positions in the National Spinal Cord Injury Consumer Organizations and has been a source of support and mentorship for newly injured individuals. He holds degrees in communication, journalism, and business management, and his extensive expertise continues to influence the field of rehabilitation and disability services. So we are so pleased to have you. Jess and Mark, we're turning it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm Mark Odom. I'm a white man. I'm wearing a dark purple shirt and a white background with the NARIC logo in the upper corner. From time to time, you'll see my headrest to my power chair bouncing in and out of the communication. I'll start off the presentation, and Jess will fill in. Let me quickly move along. The first slide is the National Rehabilitation Information Center. How can NARIC help you to help your clients succeed? One of the things that I'm happy to say is that NCRTM and NARIC have been together actually in the very early stages of the feasibility study that was written for NARIC, and with the, I guess, Bert Griffiths, who headed RSA. Oh gosh, it was back in 1975. So we've kind of been partners and helped out each other all along the way, sometimes more than others. So Heather, thank you very much for pulling us together and giving us a chance to show what we do and how we can help you folks. Moving along, the next slide, we have myself, and that's an old picture, I think pre-pandemic. And you can see I've changed a little bit since then. You heard my intro. Thank you very much, Heather. It's quite a bit. It makes me feel older than I think I am. And then Jess Chaikin, we heard about her. Also, with the three of us here, really the management team for NARIC, and Jess has been with NARIC almost 25 years, and Natalie just a few months less than that. So we've been together a long time putting this together. Natalie has helped form the collection, and I like to say that nobody on this planet knows the NARIC collection better than Natalie. She's had her hands in pretty much everything that's gone into the Rehab Data database since she started. The next slide is a bit more about ourselves. This is the information and library teams. At the top, we have Tammy Pyle, who's information services coordinator. She's been with NARIC since 2000, 2001, working on primarily she works on the knowledge, what was the knowledge base. Jess, what do we call that now?
The Community
so-
Resources Database.
Yes, we changed that with this newest contract. I guess I should back up and say that we started a new contract in March for 3 more years. So like you guys, every 3 or 4 years, 5 years, we go through a competition for the NARA contract. Happy to say all of us on this page, everyone's been at least 15 years. Next on this page, we have Marta Garcia. They are the bilingual information specialists who helps us translate everything into Spanish, almost everything but what's in the Rehab database. But all of our publications are translated. She coordinates the secondary translation, so everything goes through a translation into Spanish and back to English, just to have a quality check on that. Next, we have Catherine Graves, a media specialist, writes blogs, helps out extensively with the program directory, and Jess will talk to you a little bit more about that. That's one of our primary publications that gives a complete rundown of the 350 grants that NIDLR, and I'm sure everyone here must know, National Institute on Disability and Rehabilitation Research, our funding agency, who they fund each year. And on this page, we also have Sheila Turner. She's an abstractor. Sheila has written pretty much all of the abstracts that are in the Rehab database, and primarily.
Webinar today.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
All right, better. A bit about our history. As I said, NARIC was launched in 1977. It started out as a feasibility study through the Rehab Services Administration, and located at Catholic University in a small. It was actually a 3-office, 2 offices and what was a bathroom that got turned into the library, and quickly grew. Catholic was there for 5 years, 6 years, and into 130,000 volumes, as you see here. At that point, the contract moved over to a small contractor, KRA Associates, and moved into a rather big library in Silver Spring, Maryland. And at that point, NARIC also housed the Able Data collection in that project. So we've been online since the 80s. I like to say that we're one of the oldest card catalogs that have been online since its beginning days. As it was mentioned, Jess started up the social media effort back in the 2000s, and we're going that as well. And we're also very proud to say that we still answer the phone. So we have folks calling in, usually people with a disability or experience with disabilities, in a funk, don't know where to go. It's an 800 number, and we get some of our most basic questions on the phone. Of course, I guess back in the, I don't know what, early 2000s, when we got to social media and started getting involved with at that time, the World Wide Web. There was kind of a transfer from 80% of our people contacted us through the phone to probably now 90% contact us through the internet. So the next slide. A bit about what we do. Obviously, we collect, disseminate, promote all of the work of the grantees. The previous contract, we were adding 3,000 pieces each year to the database, and this current contract, we've tightened that up a little bit, and right now we're responsible for collecting and disseminating, promoting 700 purely NIDLR grantee publications, and there's a tight definition for that. Each of those publications must have attribution to NIDLR in it, or else we might put it in the community resources, but it doesn't go into the rehab data. This is the largest collection of disability and rehabilitation literature. Obviously, nobody has a collection with the NIDILRR funded research like we do. We provide information and referral services, mostly in English, but Spanish with Marta. They do a terrific job enhancing this, and we're always pleased to find out that somebody in a Middle America or South America put out a big piece or kudos for us at what we do, and get a big effort from folks in Spanish. Most importantly, that kind of keeps us going. We support the NIDILRR staff in their grant management, program development, and we do a lot of research for them. It's I would say 2-3 times a month we get contacted by a project officer or somebody at NIDILRR that they're working on a report or working on something, and we do their basic research for them. So next slide. All right, I'm going to have Jess pick it up from here. We've designed this presentation with a number of different projects and scenarios and questions that we feel will help you guys help your clients. And Jess is nobody better on this planet than Jess to walk through some of these situations and help you out. So with that, Jess, would you please?
Sure. Hi, so I'm Jess Chaikin. I'm a white woman. I've got brown hair and blue glasses. I'm wearing a green shirt. I've tattoos on my arms. And I've got a white background behind me with the NARIC logo as well. And just in case it happens, there's several cats in this house and one might walk across my screen. So, because cats are jerks. Anyway, so we're here to talk about how NARIC can help you to help your clients or your patrons. This community works with lots of people with disabilities, caregivers, your fellow employment specialists, counselors, things like that. And we hope that you'll think about NARIC as a source of information, research, as a way to connect to resources in the community. So let's look at a few scenarios where NARIC might come in handy or helpful. Next slide, please. So as Mark mentioned, there's a lot we can do to assist you in supporting your clients and your staff. NARIC staff resources and publications can help in connecting to community resources, whether that's for information, finding services and supports. We can help in understanding research in disability and rehabilitation, research and development, in interventions, in new technologies. We can help you dive a bit deeper into the research and development in your field. Maybe you specialize in working with clients with visual disabilities or people who are not neurotypical. And we can help in finding ready-to-use tools, publications, and other resources that the NIDILRR grantee produced that you can use right now in your practice. They can be downloaded, accessed, played, used in lots of different ways. Next slide, please. So here's an example. Say, I have a client who's newly diagnosed or newly injured, or maybe somebody who's just starting to lose their sight or something. Where can they find information and support? So next slide. So NARIC can help you guys in connecting to community resources. Our website at naric.com, we include community resource lists that have agencies and organizations that's organized in under 20 different topics. Those are vetted. We have a inclusion criteria that ensures that you're not seeing like self-promoting organizations or companies. We try to go for reputable agencies or organizations and nonprofits that have a long history of supporting the community. You can search through that community resources database. Has more than 2,000 entries we've been collecting over NARIC's 40+ years of answering information requests. And all of that, that service at least is available in Spanish. The community resource pages are translated. We do also have a list of community resources that focus on serving Spanish-speaking clients. Our information specialists are available by phone, email, chat, and through social media Monday to Friday, during Eastern Time business hours, 8:30 to 5:30. And then we have a weekly newsletter called News and Notes from the NIDLR community and beyond. Just went out 2 hours ago, goes out on Wednesdays. And that spotlights resources for people with disabilities, practitioners, educators, caregivers, primarily from those NIDLR funded projects. It's free and signing up is really easy. You just go to our website, NARIC.com. Put in your email address, wait for the confirmation email to pop into your inbox, and then you'll get it almost every Wednesday afternoon. Next slide, please. So here's another example. I just heard about a new technology or program which might help me or my clients, and I'd like to learn more about it, more about how it was developed or how it can be implemented in my practice. Next slide, please. So we can help you in understanding research that's coming out now from the NIDLR community and from the broader disability and rehabilitation research communities. So we have a series called Research in Focus that features lay language summaries of new and interesting research findings published by the NIDLR grantee community. We take peer-reviewed articles and we summarize them, try to remove as much jargon as possible, and get right to the point. What did the study do? What did they find? What were the implications? And what can you do next to learn more? We have the NARIC Spotlight, that's our blog. And we try to pair kind of trending topics with research and resources from the NIDLR grantees. So for example, today we published a blog post about the anniversary of the Olmsted decision, which is coming up next week. And we looked at our rehab data database that Mark mentioned. That's our card catalog for our collection, and looked at slices in time to see what the NIDLR grantee was publishing about the concept of community living. And how did that change between 1998 all the way up to today? We've paired the NARIC Spotlight blog with a Spotlight podcast, where we sometimes we cover research in focus articles. We just did an interview with a researcher about this intervention that she developed called the Life Skills Manual. If you are interested in the Life Skills Manual, put a note in the chat and I'll be happy to put a link in there when we pause a bit. And we've also done episodes of the Spotlight podcast in Spanish. And as Mark mentioned, everything that we published.
I'm on. Oh, cool.
Everything that we published, Marta translates into Spanish. And then I mentioned the news and notes from the NIDLR community and beyond. That's our weekly newsletter. Each newsletter has a resource that you can use right away. It will have 2 or 3 events that you can participate in, mostly webinars, news items from the community. We featured a congressional testimony from researchers, awards, that kind of thing. We also include opportunities to participate in research. Those are surveys that you can fill out, research projects that are looking for focus group participants or stakeholder group participants. And then we usually feature something from elsewhere in the community, usually from another federal agency. So today we featured an article from the Department of Labor about trends in business ownership among people with disabilities. This slide also features a photo of a person sitting at a laptop, and they happen to have a prosthetic arm. Next slide, please. Right, so here's another example of why you might get in touch with NARIC. I want to build expertise in this field. Or maybe you want to change specializations and get focused in a new area. Where can I find the latest research? Next slide, please. So NARIC is, at our heart, we're a library. This slide features a photo of someone who's sitting in a wheelchair in between 2 big stacks of books, bookshelves. And that's actually kind of what our library looks like. We actually have books on shelves and files in file cabinets, in addition to a lot of electronic files. But we've been collecting material since the 70s, and so much of that is still on paper. And as Mark mentioned, we have this rehab data database. That's our card catalog. Everything that we add to our collection gets indexed in rehab data, and that's searchable from our website. The database includes more than 300,000 abstracts about articles, books, reports, guides, manuals, fact sheets, audio-visual materials. The core of it comes from those NIDLR-funded projects, including we have an extensive collection we call original research. You may have heard someone refer to it as gray literature. It's not necessarily peer-reviewed, but something like a final report or a manual for an intervention. Another database that is available on our website is the NIDLR Program Database. NIDLR, that's the National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research, if you're not familiar with that. It's the main research institute funded through the Administration for Community Living, excuse me. And NIDLR funds about 300 projects each year across the spectrum of age, disability, everything from the softest sciences of like social sciences to the hard sciences of engineering, medical, some medical intervention, but primarily education, health and function, employment, especially that's a big portion of NIDLR's research portfolio. And all of those projects are described in that database, the NIDLR Program Database. And you can search it by title, by keyword. You can look for specific researchers. It's a good way to get to know who's doing research in the field you're interested in. So let's say you're taking on clients with visual disabilities. You could look at what research is being done from the NIDLR community on employment and visual disabilities and get to know those researchers and what they're producing. You can access these databases at any time on our website at NARIC.com. You can do, we have advanced search pages, and you can export those results into spreadsheets. You can share them with your colleagues. But you can also get in touch with us, and we can help in running custom searches in rehab data or the program database. We will also go out to other databases like PubMed or NCRTM's own collection and help you in trying to get in touch with that research that interests you. We do offer document delivery from our collection, all those books on the shelf, pardon me, for very low cost. It's just 5 cents per page. So most journal articles, they'll range about $25 to $30 a piece. They can, and I think even the public library, the photocopy machines are more expensive than 5 cents a page. But if there's an article in our collection you're interested in, just make a note of the catalog number and email us, call us, reach out through the chat and place an order. We will photocopy and ship it to you. We have some material in our collection that's available electronically. If you're searching rehab data and you find an article that's interesting, if it's available for download, there'll be a link to pull down the PDF for yourself. But the majority of our material is not available digitally. That's either it's way too old, or our subscription, the way our subscriptions are managed, we can't necessarily release documents in electronic format. But again, we'll photocopy and ship it to you, just 5 cents a page, and we turn those orders around pretty quickly. You'll get it within a day or two. One great way to stay on top of what is happening in your field of interest is our Rehab Data Connection monthly alert service. It's a free email alert service that lets you know what we've added to our database in the last 30 days. You can pick topics that you're interested in, like spinal cord injury or developmental disabilities or employment. I would guess that most of you are very interested in employment and vocational rehabilitation. So once a month, you will get a single email, no matter how many topics you picked. We just put it all in one email with brief abstracts of what's in our collection. If you want to learn more about a particular document, there's a link to follow and you can read the full abstract. Again, that's free. The service has been around. It launched in 1998, I believe. Great way to stay on top of the research that interests you. Next slide, please. Here's another example of a question we might get. Are there resources I can use in my practice or share with my clients? Something I can use right now. Next slide, please. So this slide and the next slide, I'm going to share some examples of resources from the NIDLR grantee community that are ready to use. If you received a copy of this presentation, these are live links and you can follow them. If for whatever reason you did not, please, my email address and Mark's email address will be at the end of this presentation. Get in touch with us. We'll be happy to send you a list of these links and even more if I can think of them. So these are some examples of resources from the grantee community you can use right now. The first one is an employment repository from the Center for Psychiatric Rehabilitation. This collection is organized by audience, so the person seeking employment, family members who support that person, counselors and clinicians, and there's a fourth one that I don't remember at this very moment, but it is focused on employment supports for people with psychiatric disabilities. The next one on the list are two self-employment guides that were developed by the Research and Training Center on supports for people with disabilities in rural communities at the University of Montana. The first is a vocational rehabilitation self-employment guide. The second is a tribal VR self-employment toolkit. So these are guides for VR counselors to help their clients in accessing self-employment as an option, an employment option. The next item on the list are resources on employment and Title I of the Americans with Disabilities Act. These are resources published or gathered by the ADA National Network. These are 10 regional centers funded by NIDLR. Each center serves between 4 and 6 states or off the like island communities. They have toll-free phone number. They help people with disabilities and private and public entities to understand their rights and responsibilities under the ADA. So this link goes to a collection of resources focused on employment and Title I of the ADA. The next one on the list is called ES Coach, and it's actually designed for employment consultants. It's a kind of a dashboard, helps them visualize their employment support practices to reflect, set goals, and take actions for continuous quality improvement. This was developed under a NIDLR, I think, field-initiated grant. All 5 of these are available to use right now. If you have the PDF open in front of you, you can click those links and they should open up in your favorite browser. We can go to the next slide when you're ready. So here's a few more of those resources you can use right now from the grantee community. The first one is a set of employment and transition resources from the National Research and Training Center on Blindness and Low Vision at Mississippi State. One of the things I really like about this collection is its emphasis on just how early transition can start. They talk about preparing students very young students with visual disabilities to make that successful transition from high school to college and to employment, and involving parents and family. The next item on this bulleted list are courses on supporting young adults with mental health conditions. That's from the research called the Research and Training Center on Living and Working while Making the Transition to Adulthood. Focuses on youth and young adults with mental health conditions. And then there's also a link to supported employment in college for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Another set of resources that focuses on supporting those transition age youth with disabilities, specifically intellectual and developmental disabilities, who are moving on to college and beyond. And the last item on this list is Cognitopia. This is a suite of web-based self-management and executive functioning software. This is the only item on my list here that may have certain fees involved. I think it's a subscription service, but it was developed under several grants from NIDLR. But it's a whole suite of tools for someone with for example, neurodivergence or autism, brain injury, to work on self-management at home, at school, at work. And the tools are designed to help this person be successful as and in their participation in the community. So these are all resources that are available, ready to use right now in your practice or to be shared with your colleagues or with the people you work with. Next slide, please. Right, so that was a pretty quick overview, but we always have more to share, and there's lots of ways you can keep up with us. You can sign up and follow us on various platforms to learn more. We have Spanish and English Facebook and Twitter feeds. We also have a LinkedIn page. We do have a Pinterest board, so if you're a visual learner, visual organizer, we try to put these resources into some like a visual catalog. I mentioned that we are blogging and podcasting. You can follow our WordPress blog. It's a Spotlight blog. And also wherever you get your favorite podcasts, you can look for the NARIC Spotlight. And then you can subscribe to those regularly scheduled and not so regularly scheduled announcements that I mentioned. News and notes from the NIDLR community and beyond goes out every Wednesday. Rehab Data Connection goes out monthly. If you are interested in what the NIDLR funds, you can sign up for our NIDLR announcements list. We will post notices of funding opportunities or forecasts, and we may also send occasional announcements from NIDLR, for example, when they're looking for peer reviewers for the app to review funding proposals or special announcements from the Institute, events, things like that. All these things are free. Free. Next slide, please. Right. So here's how to get in touch with us. My email address, jchaikin@hitechservices.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn, send me a message, wave hi. Mark's email address, similar, modum, MODUM, @hitechservices.com. And you can also find Mark on LinkedIn. And our information specialists, you can contact them by chat at NARIC.com. You can reach out to us through our social media platforms, and you can email NARIC info. One thing we didn't put up here was our toll-free phone number, which we should have. Yeah, but and you can still call us. And our phone number is 800-346-2742. And I'll try to remember to type that in the chat too. But that phone number is on the very first slide where we had our contact information. So it is in this presentation somewhere. I know I typed it.
The next slide. It's on the next slide too.
Okay, great. All right. So speaking of, let's look at the next slide. So I wanted to personally say thank you and to NCRTM for inviting us for this. The contents of this presentation were developed under our contract with NIDLR. And this is the usual disclaimer information. They do not necessarily represent the policy of NIDLR, ACL, or HHS. And there's our phone number right there, along with all of our other ways you can get in touch with us. That's what I got.
Yeah, I think the important piece is that, for my feeling, two ways to connect with us is the news and notes. That's I think that it was described recently as NIDLR's news or weekly news, and that's real quick and easy. You know, it's 150 words for each of those pieces. Again, it's free. You opt in or opt out. And the other piece is the Rehab Data Connection. I think that's really cool because you can go in. I don't know how many topics there are, but it seems like thousands.
About 50.
50 that you can pick out, and it'll send the latest piece that's been added to the collection. You can adjust that if you're getting. I know that sometimes when I first started, I would get 1,000 pieces out, and part of that is something might be associated with rehab, with spinal cord injuries and employment, so I'd get a double piece to it. But you can always adjust that to really exactly what you're interested in. It's once a month. It's easy. It's an easy read. It's an abstract. If you want to look at more, You can click on, there's a place to click on it and bring up the whole citation. So those are the two places I think where you really can get in touch with us. And then of course, the chat on the website and the 800 number if you want to talk to any of us. So those are 4 good ways to stay closely connected to us. Heather, I
Absolutely.
think next slide.
Yeah, let's pause here for a moment before we close it out. I want to give our participants a moment to ask any questions that they may have. So folks that are on the call, if you have some questions that you'd like to ask Jess or Mark, we encourage you to use that chat feature. We'll go ahead and read your question to the presenter so they can answer you. While we're waiting for questions to come in, we'll go ahead and just give you the NCRTM plug. So we are doing a series of lunch and learns. This is our 3rd one that we've done. We've got a few more scheduled, so we hope you are enjoying these sessions. If you like the lunch and learns and want to recommend a topic that you're interested in or another collaboration that you'd like to see, we encourage you to leave feedback on our feedback survey. The feedback survey, you'll find the link in the chat, and it'll also be at a later point in this presentation. But we do read those. We do take it seriously. We want to hear from you. So if there is someone that you would like to see on these lunch and learn sessions that you think would be helpful in your work, we would love to hear about it so we can work on arranging that for you. The NCRTM also has a newsletter. We want to make sure you are aware of it. We send it out once a month, and then we also will use that newsletter list to send out any urgent announcements or things that are really important to the VR and disability communities. We also have a new feature that we launched well, I guess it's not totally new, but it was a feature that we launched about 1.5 to 2 years ago, where you can now subscribe for monthly NCRTM library updates. So many of the resources that Jess shared during this call, you can also find linked on NCRTM. Once a month, we will send out a list of all of those new materials that have been added to the library for NCRTM. And this is just a shameless plug here. The NCRTM library accepts submissions from all users. So if you are working for a VR agency and you're very proud of the work you're doing and you've completed a product, we would love to be able to add that into the library. So you can submit those forms, and we encourage that. We also have a NCRTM on Twitter, or X, excuse me, formerly known as Twitter. So we encourage you to follow us there. And we have a YouTube channel. When this recording is complete, we will post the video on the YouTube channel, and we will put it in the newsletter to announce it. We'll also send out some tweets so that everybody knows that it's there and live. But yes, the recording will be available, and we will share it. And we hope that you will share it with those that might also be interested but couldn't make it today. So I don't see any further questions in the chat. I want to make sure, Jess and Mark, do you have any other closing words or anything else you want to mention while we still got our folks here?
I can't think of anything that we have omitted. It's been very, very helpful. It's been very good. We've put on one of these earlier, or a couple of these, I think, and we learn a little bit from each one. So this is certainly grateful for you including us in your family. As I said, we have roots back to when the clearinghouse was at the Oklahoma State University.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years ago that was, but I know that the head of the NCRTM was actually one of the founding people that put together the rehabilitation roundtable that was funded by NIHR at that time for many, many years. So it's kind of nice to reconnect. And Heather, I thank you very much for including us. I know that when Jess had mentioned it to me, we were all very excited to put this together, and I hope it's the beginning of more.
Absolutely.
I think we do have a lot of gems that I think can help you guys with your daily work, and that's what we live for. As I started out saying, that the staff, we've all been together for a long time. This is more of our lifeblood and our family and what we do than just a job and kind of showing up each week. So I appreciate having the time to let us extend our efforts even further.
The only thing I'll add is we will be adding like an office hour to our work probably starting next month. If that's something that your team would be interested in, to anybody on this presentation, joining for an office hour where we can talk about more about what we do, or maybe demonstrate or lead folks to different websites and things like that in the NIDLR community, do sign up for our News and Notes newsletter. We'll announce when we start scheduling those.
Excellent. Let's go on to the next slide. Perfect. We mentioned sharing feedback. We are serious about accepting your feedback. So please, if you have a moment, fill it out. If you'd like to see new topic areas or another lunch and learn session with a future collaboration, please make sure to leave a note on that feedback survey. You can also reach out to us. We are a small but mighty team also at NCRTM. The contact email is ncrtm@neweditions.net. And we're here to answer your questions. So if you need assistance locating materials, or you're overwhelmed with all of the information that's available, we're also here to help you work through that. So please don't hesitate to contact us and send us your feedback. Next slide. Now's the fun part. Well, we appreciate Jess and Mark for joining us today. We do have to do our disclaimer here at the end of the presentation, but the National Clearinghouse of Rehabilitation Training Materials, NCRTM, is maintained by New Editions Consulting, Inc. and sponsored by the U.S. Department of Education Rehabilitation Services Administration, RSA, under contract number 91990021C0033. However, these contents do not necessarily represent the policy of the Department of Education, and you should not assume endorsement by the federal government. Thank you all for joining us today. The presentation is now complete, and we will stop recording.